Have you ever logged on to PvP Legacy, queued someone's custom kit, and seen this, or this, or even this? Of course you have. And what do all these kits have in common? They all suck. So then, how did I just lose? And no, it's not because I sold on purpose or anything. What? The reason I lost is because we were both using the same kit. You see, if two monkeys are fighting each other, the fight could go either way because, well, they're both monkeys. But now, if one of those monkeys has a grenade and the other one doesn't, I think we all know who's gonna win. 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 The same thing goes for PvP on SMPs. When playing on an SMP, depending on 5 factors which I'll soon go over, you can have an automatic advantage going into a fight with someone whose kit is worse than yours. By the end of this video, I guarantee you'll learn something new. Like, do you know it's a bad idea to have 1 stack of XP and an 8-minute strength potion in the same kit? No you don't, but in a few minutes you will. And at the end of the video, I'll show you my thought process when I'm making a kit for myself. Let's start off with factor number 1, your playstyle. Your playstyle is the style in which you play. Crazy, I know. People's playstyles tend to either be defensive or offensive. A defensive playstyle is when you try to conserve more resources than your opponent while slowly chipping away at their armor durability to win. An offensive playstyle is when you continuously pressure your opponent and try to quick drop them. Playing offensively also drains your opponent's resources quicker than playing defensively does. You'll find out why this information is important soon. These are all the items traditionally used for combat purposes in an SMP scenario. The items in the green category are typically used defensively, the items in the red category are typically used offensively, and the items in the yellow category are typically used in both ways. If you're wondering why there are multiple of some items, that's just because they both have different properties. There's a bow with the punch enchant and one without, speed potions at level 1 and 2, etc. In the green category, we have items like the shield, food, and turtle master potions. None of these items give you much offensive value. Shields are used for blocking attacks, food is used for healing, and turtle master potions give you resistance and are pretty much only used when you're about to die. The sword and axe are both in the yellow category because everyone uses them, so they don't really favor a specific playstyle. Apart from those two, there are items like the bow, which you can use either to slowly chip away at someone's durability or bow boost towards them if the bow has the punch enchant on it. There are also wind charges, which are used not only to make space for yourself to heal, but also to pair with the mace and one-tap people. And finally, the red category. Obviously, both kinds of maces are here, but there are also harming arrows which you can use to spam your opponent with, and also buttons and pressure plates, which both serve the same purpose of stopping your opponent from saving themselves with a web bubble. Now that's cool and all, but how does this relate to making a kit? Okay, so have you ever played Clash Royale? In Clash Royale, there are cards, 120 unique ones to be exact. You need to build a deck of just 8 cards that synergize well with each other to 1v1 random opponents who are probably using a completely different deck. If you have a poorly designed deck and your opponent has a well-designed deck, they'll probably win. One of the ways you can improve your deck is to not include cards that don't fit in with your playstyle. If your playstyle is defensive, don't include something like a Hog Rider in your deck because that synergizes with an offensive playstyle. Although not as rigid, this principle also applies to Minecraft PvP. You only have 36 inventory slots, so you need to use them well. Let's say you have a defensive playstyle. Having empty buckets to drain water with probably won't be as valuable to you, as quick dropping people isn't really your priority. If you have extra inventory space, do whatever you want, but you won't want the buckets to be the first thing you put in the kit. Or maybe you have a god mace that turns you into an immortal god in this Minecraft SMP. Since maces can kill people before they can react, adopting an aggressive playstyle and adjusting your kit accordingly could help you a lot in this scenario. Another thing that can support your playstyle is what blocks you use. Now there are lots of blocks to pick from, but there are only 3 useful ones in this case, those being logs, ice, and obsidian. Now why are these blocks the only useful ones? Well, they all have something special about them. Let's start off with obsidian. Obsidian takes a long time to break, so it's useful if you need to block off an escape route so your opponent can't follow you, or to block off the exit of a small space so your opponent can escape from you. But those are both pretty niche uses, so you usually won't need to carry around obsidian. Now let's talk about ice. No, not that ice! This ice. There are 3 types of ice: regular ice, packed ice, and blue ice. Each type of ice makes you move faster when you run on it, but blue ice makes you go the fastest, making it the best ice, right? But there's a catch. It takes 9 packed ice to craft 1 blue ice, and it takes 9 regular ice to craft 1 packed ice. This means that you'll need to mine 81 regular ice for 1 blue ice, which adds up to 81 stacks of regular ice if you want just 1 stack of blue ice in your kit. This isn't very practical, so if you want ice, you can just stick with the 576 regular ice to craft a stack of packed ice, which is only 9 stacks of regular ice. Oh, and one more thing about ice collection, you can find both packed and blue ice in icebergs and frozen oceans if you don't feel like crafting. Now, since ice can boost your speed, you can either use it to chase people or run away from them, but lots of items can help you get away, so ice should only be used if you have an aggressive playstyle. Finally, there are logs. Logs are a jack of all trades. After you pot up at the beginning of a fight, you can craft a stack of logs into 4 stacks of planks, which I might add is great value. With these planks, you can stop your opponent's momentum, place them under you to avoid cobwebs, place them under you to move faster, and even place them in between you and your opponent to create distance in a pinch. But ice can do all that, and planks lack some of ice's offensive value. Where planks really shine is in their ability to craft buttons and pressure plates. These items are both great on offense. They both serve the same purpose, which is to stop your opponent from effectively utilizing a web bubble to save themselves, which can win you games. Their only important differences are that buttons can be placed on walls, while pressure plates have a big hitbox and you can place blocks on them without crouching, meaning you can do a little more with them. Overall, wood can suit any playstyle, and is in my opinion the best block for PvP. I'm sorry the playstyle section took so long, it's kinda complicated.
Hold it right there.
Wait, who said that?
This is Donald Trump speaking. Everyone subscribe to the Slow Wayne YouTube channel because it will help a lot. Drill, baby drill, USA. Subscribe.
But now, factor number 2, gear. When I say gear, I'm not only referring to how good your armor is or if you have netherite, but also how you can be as efficient as possible with your inventory space and avoid wasting any of your 36 slots. Now, to explain gear, I actually have to explain the third factor simultaneously, server rules. This includes things like caps on how much of an item you're allowed to have in your kit, along with what items you are or aren't allowed to use. Now, it kinda goes without saying, but I'll still say it. If your server allows things like netherite or maces in combat, use them. Aside from the extra time grinding, there aren't really any downsides. Anyways, onto the main points. Let's say that on the server you play on, you're only allowed to use up to 1 stack of XP bottles to mend your armor in combat. Now, a common thing that lots of people like to do nowadays is put 2 stacks of cobwebs into your kit, and if you have more than 1 stack of XP, this is fine. But if you just have 1 stack of XP, your armor will break faster, meaning that fights won't be as long. This means that having 2 stacks of webs in this scenario wastes an inventory slot. Actually, in most cases, having less XP in your kit generally means that you don't need as much of certain items. For example, some people who are using a kit with strength 2 potions like to leave a single slot for an 8-minute strength 1 pot, letting them last longer in a fight. But the less XP you have, the less you'll need that extra strength pot. Now, I did say that having less XP lets you cut down on the amount of some items in your kit, but there is one item that you should never, under any circumstances, cut down on. Ever. I'm talking about golden apples. Let me explain. You probably already know about saturation. If not, here's what it is. Saturation is a hidden statistic that is kind of like a second hunger bar. When your saturation runs out, your hunger starts running out. Now, if you're down on hunger, you can't naturally regenerate during a combat exchange. Basically, you want saturation. Anytime you have enough space from your opponent to heal, you should fully replenish your saturation. And since you lose saturation and hunger from healing, you'll need to eat 2, 3, or even 4 golden apples to be in full saturation and full health. This means that golden apples get used up fast, so having less than 2 stacks will force you to play hyper aggressively in order to quick drop your opponent before you run out of gaps. And if your opponent isn't a brick and doesn't quick drop, you're cooked. But any more than 2 stacks and you're just wasting inventory slots, so always bring exactly 2 stacks of golden apples to any fight. And it is for this very reason that speed 1 is objectively better than speed 2. If you use speed 1 potions along with strength 2 pots, you can make the speed pots 8 minutes long, allowing you to use more strength pots in your kit. With speed 1, you'll want to be bringing 3 speed potions to any 1v1. Any more, and you won't be able to bring enough strength pots, but any less, and you'll have to start fighting without speed after 16 minutes. Since each speed pot lasts 8 minutes, and each strength pot lasts 1.5 minutes, bring no more than 16 strength pots. But you probably won't be able to fit 16, so no less than 12 or 13. Now, let's say you use speed 2. In this scenario, some slots that once went to strength pots will now have to go to speed. Look, they're sharing. In the official PvP tier list, The good one, that is. The SMP kit uses strength and speed too, so it's no coincidence that there are only 12 of each. Now add in webs, blocks, more XP, etc., and you end up having even less potions. Since enchanted golden apples have become much easier to find in recent years with the additions of ancient cities and trial chambers, you should switch out your fire resistance pots for god apples if you have enough in order to free up inventory space for more items. This is especially useful if you use speed 2, as inventory space is extra important in that case, and the resistance you get makes playing aggressively safer. Now for the most simple factor. Factor number 4, server plugins. This category refers to any mods or plugins a server might have, like if there's a lifesteal plugin or any custom items. For custom items, it's pretty simple. If you have one, you should probably use it. If it's something little like, I don't know, a potato with fire aspect, you can just put fire aspect on a sword and use that instead. But if it actually does something unique and helpful, use the custom item. Actual mods and plugins are also usually pretty simple. If there's some crazy plugin that gives everyone permanent slow falling, then quick dropping people will become next to impossible because you can't crit, so you should use defensive kit. But for the most part, server plugins usually won't change that much about what kit you should use. And now for the 5th and final factor, who you're fighting. To illustrate this, I must tell you about my arch nemesis, debuffs. A debuff is a negative potion effect. The ones typically used in combat are slowness, jump boost, slow falling, poison, and weakness. And no, I'm not including instant damage because it doesn't leave a lasting effect. Now, each of the debuffs can be easily countered in different ways. Slowness makes you move slower, so you can bring lots of pearls to a fight against someone who uses slowness. Jump boost makes you jump higher, meaning your DPS will be much slower as critting will take longer. This can be countered by mole fighting. Slow falling also lowers your DPS since it prevents critting altogether, and it also lets your opponent combo you much easier. Since you won't be able to quick drop your opponent with your sword or a mace, you can use TNT minecarts. But if carts are banned, just bring lots of XP to outlast your opponent and bring a punch 2 bow and lots of webs so they can't get close to you. Since poison makes you take damage over time, it can mess with your damage ticks and invincibility frames, which would basically make it harder for your opponent to combo you or hit you away from them. You can exploit this by simply adopting an aggressive playstyle. And finally, weakness makes your melee attacks do significantly less damage, so you can either use a mace to make up for it or use carts, which obviously won't be affected by your low melee damage output. Now, let's say you somehow know how the person you'll be fighting fights, like from fighting them in the past or seeing a clip of them fighting that was posted on social media.
We have taken billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or...
If you know how they fight, you can adjust your playstyle and the items you use accordingly. Let's say you know that your opponent uses TNT minecarts in combat. To counter their carts, you can use a defensive playstyle and an extra pair of leggings with the blast protection enchant. Now that you know what the 5 factors are, I'll play a little video I made of me making a kit and explaining things along the way as an example. Also, I've never done anything like this before, so it's not that good. Sorry in advance. Alright, so welcome to the kit demonstration. The server rules I'm going to be pretending there are for this are no netherite weapons or tools, no totems, and no pearls, because those are all pretty common restrictions to have on SMPs in 2025. So starting off, just the armor, tools, weapons, put those on. You might not be actually like fighting with a pickaxe unless you're doing like whole fights, but this will be in inventory just going on the SMP, so it'll be in the kit. 2 stacks of gaps, 1 stack of webs for now. We'll add more towards the end. Now, wind charges, you'll want wind charges. I'd say they're better than blocks unless you're like underground and can't really use wind charges, but you'll want to bring breeze rods so you can craft them into wind charges after you pot up at the beginning of a fight. You also want a stack of blocks so in case you like go underground or want buttons or pressure plates or anything. You'll want 3 speed potions, 8 minutes, level 1, splash potions of course, and god apples. If you want to put all your 32 god apples in your kit, go for it, but if you don't want to risk them, I'd say that a good number to go with is 7 because each speed potion is 8 minutes. 8 times 3 is 24. A god apple gives you fire resistance for 4 minutes, so that's half the length of a speed potion. So you want 6 instead of 3 because that's double, and then 1 more just in case you get into a tight situation and need to eat one quickly. And since there are no totems, god apples are fine, but they're not as good as totems. Turtle master potions, they won't save you from death, but they'll make you take a lot less damage in close situations. So one of those for now, just to like replace the totem. We might add more at the end though. You won't be using it to fight, but ender chest, you will be carrying these around just day to day on an SMP. You will want water buckets. You'll want 2 to 3. You will never just want 1 because if your water gets drained, you won't have any water left. So you'll want 2 or 3. I'll just put in 2 for now. And now how many slots are left in the kit? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 slots left. That is very good. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know. Oh yeah, XP. I want a minimum of 2 stacks because fights can get very long nowadays. It's not uncommon for people to have like 4 or 5 stacks, but 2 just for now. And we'll add more at the end. So now there are 18 slots left. We'll add some strength potions. This is 14. I like to have 14 strength potions in my kit because it's not 16. You'll be missing out on 3 minutes of strength too, but it gives you space for more XP and webs, which nowadays you actually like kind of need to be able to compete with other people who are gonna be carrying like 2 stacks of webs and 7 stacks of XP. There's still a lot of space left, so I'll add another strength potion. I'll add 1 more stack of webs. Now there are 2 slots left, so I'll add another stack of XP and 1 more Turtle Master potion just for good measure. And now we have the kit. This is like just the items. The inventory layout, you want your most important items to be towards the top middle, because when you open your inventory, that is where it defaults to. So you want water to always be here, unless you have pearls to replace your water, but water to be here. So like, oh no, I'm drained, I'm in a web, boom, water right there. It's really quick. And then god apples right under it. The blocks are gonna be there because I like to have my wind charges in my hotbar. Just pretend these are wind charges. Okay, I actually forgot about one item. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, I'm fine with 14 strength potions. I'll put golden carrots here because you'll be eating those when you're not in a fight. The ender chests, you'll never want these, so these want to be as far away from the top middle as possible. Speed potions, you'll only be needing these once every 8 minutes, so they all go off to the side. Golden carrots, you'll also never really want these. Turtle Master, we'll just put that near everything right there. XP, pretty important, so put that there. Gaps, not that important. So this is the official kit. Pre-pot up inventory would look like this. I'll demonstrate what I would do at like the beginning of a fight. In survival mode, I pot up, eat the god apple, craft my wind charges, and then I have my webs, and then I gap. And now this right here is the inventory post pot up. And yeah, that was the demonstration. I'll put the water bucket there, of course. I'm so cool. Okay, and yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say about like the example. Alright, it is the end of the video now, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, I've never really done anything like this before, so you might not have thought it was that good, but hopefully I'll try to make future videos better than this one. Yeah, again, subscribe if you enjoyed it, I guess. Don't really have much else to say. Sorry for keeping it for so long. Have a good rest of your day or night, whatever it is for you. Alright, goodbye.